failure and success, when we look into, I think they are the other side of a coin. They both go hand in hand. While we all work for whatever we are working for, we all work for success. But we all must be ready for failure also. And I think failure is something like what the name somewhere I think Satish belonged to springboard. Failure may be a very good springboard. It's a kind of an experience when a person does something. We all work for, as I mentioned, we all work for success. We all put in our 100%. But definitely when you are executing, the execution may go wrong. Sometimes the government policies also change drastically, which probably is not in your hand. And I think that also leads to failure. I'll give you a very classic example. I think about 4 or 5 years back, the Delhi government had changed the entire rule on CNG. There was a company which I know, Hindustan Sanitary Wares. They used to operate and they have a large factory in Bahadurgarh. And this Bahadurgarh, their main raw material, one of the main raw material was CNG gas actually. The moment the government policy changed, the entire CNG at that time was supposed to be diverted to all the auto walas and this transport system. And that basically put the company into total danger. The company has incurred a loss almost say about 20-25 crore. Actually, the company is not responsible for that, but probably the company could not have envisioned when the company was put up that this kind of government policy may come up. And I think to recover from that, the company took 5 years' time. So whatever we are doing, I think the conviction makes a big difference. I will give you a very classic example. When we were setting up the preschool in very beginning, and we wanted to set up the preschool mass level all across country, the first question came, how does we will set the pricing? What should be the mode of pricing? I mean, there was people who were submitting that the pricing should be standard. Because the moment you talk about a brand, I think the brand has to have some kind of standards, and you can't go on compromising the pricing. But the question comes, is it really practically executable? If I am putting the same price, can I sell a preschool for a tuition fee what I am charging at Cup Parade, and if I am charging the same tuition fee as, say, suppose Dombivli, can it work? So either I should operate only in Cup Parade or I should only operate in Dombivli. So I think that is where the innovation comes, that the way you have to fix up your pricing. Second thing, I'll give you a very classic example in franchising, what I have learned. What I found in franchising, because you are dealing with a lot of number of people. If you are very strict about your policies and you put those kind of pricing policies where a lot of monitoring is required, I think you basically somewhere compromise your growth. So very clearly in franchising, what I found, that you should more work as a consultant rather than work as a dictator. So it's not that you should involve your franchising as someone and the pricing has to be decided jointly. Rather as a franchisor, in our kind of business, it's more better that we basically impart our consent on the pricing rather than we dictate the pricing. We can always set up a range. I think these are the innovation which comes, and I think this leads a long way. What I realized in this 12 years of my being in this domain, that the more monitoring points I create for me, I think somewhere basically I'm creating the obstructions for my growth. So how smartly I put a system, the monitoring points are less and less, and I basically work more and concentrate more on my growth. I think those are the areas. So I think that makes a big difference when you're making any policies.